Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us here on SA Tonight. We continue with our bulletin this evening. The National Treasury has decided to cut the Ethekwini Municipality's Urban Settlements Development Grant by millions. Reports suggest the Metro will have to give up about 100 million rand due to underspending. But the municipality says the decision has come as a shock since it's been spending 100% of the grant for at least 5 years. For more on this, I'm joined by the Ethekwini City Manager, Musa Mbhele. Mr. Mbhele, a warm welcome to you. Let's talk about this, the issue of underspending. Let's start right there. Have you underspent?
Good evening to you and to your viewers. We have not underspent if the pattern of expenditure that we have used over the last 5 years is anything to go by. There's still 3 months to go before end of the financial year. As at the 31st of March, this city had spent 61% of the urban settlement grant. By now, we are left with less than 39%, which we were very well poised to spend before the end of this financial year.
And just talking numbers, just talk me through how much how much of that money is intended to be cut? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
According to the letter that we have seen, which was written by the Minister of Human Settlements to the mayor of the city, they are intending to cut 100 million rands of the 2.1 billion allocated budget for this grant.
And have there been any reasons given to yourselves or your office, Mr. Mbhele?
Well, first of all, we received a letter from National Treasury, which was highlighting a concern with a low spend. And they said that we must write to them to motivate why they shouldn't be cutting any money from the allocated budget. So we did write an extensive motivation highlighting the fact that for the last 5 years, as we have correctly said, that we have been spending this grant 100%, and we have been submitting cash flow projections, which are pretty much similar to the cash flow projections now, and we have been able to successfully spend. So we submitted that, but then we saw a letter that came from the Minister of Human Settlements citing Section 18 of the Division of Revenue Act, which stipulates that National Treasury can use its discretion to stop funds transfer if it suspects that the municipality might substantially underspend the allocated budget. And we were advised that they are planning to cut 100 million rands from that grant.
Obviously, in the wake of everything that has transpired in the Ethekwini municipality, what with floods and everything around that, I imagine this cut would come as a shock to yourself. What's your reaction?
You are absolutely correct. We have received letters of similar nature in the past. We used to write motivation letters requesting the National Department not to cut our grant. And for the previous 5 years, they've not been cutting. This has come as a shock in the weight of the fact that we are still reeling from the April floods. And we thought that this money was going to help us deal with the backlogs that were exacerbated by the floods. I must just say, whilst I'm on this point, that the National Department is not only cutting from Ethekwini municipality, it's cutting across many municipalities in the country where they suspect that they might be low expenditure. So it's not only in this seat, but we thought that because we've come out of the worst floods in human memory, and we thought that our case was going to be treated differently. We are really shocked that they've cut by so much.
And what are you planning to do about it from this point onwards?
We are intending to continue to engage with them further, particularly trying to find out why was our first motivation not sufficient. Because in there, we did motivate that our expenditure has been sitting at 100% all the time. In actual fact, the last time when we were invited to National Parliament by the Portfolio Committee, the figures that they shared with us reflected that only Ethekwini Municipality and Nelson Mandela Bay, and Buffalo City, that were the highest spenders of this grant by far, in comparison to other 6 metropolitan municipalities in this country. So it came as a shock, as we are saying, that they did cut, but we intend to go and engage with them and pull out those figures to prove that we don't believe that we should be amongst those people that should be experiencing this cut.
Just as my parting shot, Babu Mbhele, please talk to me about, or highlight rather, how you've spent the budget in the last fiscal. What did you actually spend the money on, or the grant on, rather?
This is one of our biggest grants. This financial year, we have 5.6 billion rands capital budget. So this grant at 2.1 billion rands makes a huge chunk of that. The conditions of this grant are meant for it to be spent on urban infrastructure, building sewer and upgrading sewer networks, water, infrastructure, roads, so that we prepare for proper urban settlements. And that is where we've been spending this grant since inception. We have followed those conditions, and that is where we've been spending it.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Ubaba, the manager, city manager of Ethekwini Municipality, Babu Musa Mbhele. Let's move on with our bulletin now. Church leaders in the Eastern Cape are urging South Africans to get closer to their Creator. They've used Easter